I arrived late to our family dinner, already apologizing in my head. But before I could say a single word, my father stood up and splashed his glass of wine straight into my face. My sister laughed. My mother joked. The room watched. No one asked why I was late. No one knew my 2 children had just been rushed to the hospital. I said nothing. I swallowed the humiliation. 1 month later, when every financial support they relied on suddenly disappeared, my phone exploded with 85 missed calls. That was the moment they realized they had made a terrible mistake, but it was already too late for them. My name is Rose, and for most of my life, I learned how to swallow pain quietly. I learned how to smile when I wanted to scream, how to nod when I wanted to explain, how to stay silent when speaking would only make things worse. That night, the family dinner party, was the moment I finally understood something painful and freeing at the same time. They never wanted my reasons. They only wanted my obedience. The dinner was supposed to be special. That was the word my mother used when she called me 3 days earlier. Rose, don't be late. Your father invited important people. This isn't one of your casual visits. Casual visits. As if family had ever felt casual to me. I promised I'd be there by 7. I meant it. But life doesn't care about promises, especially when you're a single mother with 2 sick children and no backup. At 4:18 p.m., my phone rang. It was the school nurse. Mrs. Rose, your twins are both running high fevers. One is vomiting, the other is struggling to breathe properly. You need to come immediately. I didn't think. I didn't hesitate. I left work. I picked them up. I drove straight to the hospital with my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might break my ribs. By the time we were admitted, my dress, the same one I planned to wear to dinner, was stained with vomit and sweat. The doctor said it wasn't life-threatening, but they needed observation. 4 fluids. Tests. Waiting. Time slipped through my fingers. At 6:42 p.m., my mother called. I didn't answer. At 6:45, my sister texted. You're late again? Typical. At 7:01, my father called. I silenced the phone. Because in that moment, my children mattered more than anyone's table manners. When they finally stabilized, when the doctor assured me they'd be okay, I kissed their foreheads, called my neighbor to stay with them, changed into a clean blouse I kept in the car, and drove to the dinner. I arrived 47 minutes late. I walked into the house already apologizing in my head. I never got the chance. The dining room was full. Relatives. Family, friends. People I barely knew but had grown up being judged by. The table glittered with wine glasses and laughter. And then my father stood up. I hadn't even pulled out my chair yet. He lifted his glass, looked straight at me, and said loudly, "So nice of you to finally join us, Rose." Before I could speak, before I could say I'm sorry, he splashed the wine straight into my face. Red liquid ran down my cheeks, soaked my blouse, dripped onto the floor. The room gasped. Then my sister laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not an awkward one. She threw her head back and laughed out loud, wiping tears from her eyes. "Oh wow," she said. "That's what happens when you're not serious in life." My mother joined in, smiling like it was a joke at a wedding. "That only happens when you're not serious in life, haha." People laughed. Some looked away. No one asked why I was late. No one asked if I was okay. No one noticed my hands shaking. I stood there, soaked in wine, my ears ringing, my heart pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. I felt something snap inside me. Not anger. Something colder. Something quieter. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I didn't explain. I wiped my face with my napkin, pulled out my chair, and sat down. My father looked disappointed. "Say something," he said. "Defend yourself." I met his eyes. And I said nothing. Because for the first time in my life, I understood something clearly. Explaining myself had never saved me before. The rest of the dinner passed in a blur. Jokes at my expense. Side comments. My sister whispering loud enough for others to hear. Late again. Always irresponsible. Still can't get her life together. All while they praised themselves. Their generosity. Their support. Their sacrifices for me. I chewed my food slowly. I smiled politely. I memorized everything. What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that for the past 2 years, I had quietly untangled myself from them. I had learned how their finances worked. Who paid what? Which benefits were tied to my name? Which accounts existed because I was the responsible one? They laughed because they thought I was still dependent. They mocked me because they believed I was weak. They humiliated me because they assumed I had no power. They were wrong. I left early. My mother hugged me at the door. "Try to be better, Rose," she whispered. I nodded. "I will," I said softly. And I meant it. I didn't confront them the next day. Or the next week. I waited. I cancelled nothing immediately. Because revenge isn't loud. It's precise. Over the next 30 days, I quietly withdrew. I removed my name from shared accounts. Cancelled automatic payments. Updated authorizations. Ended access to benefits they had grown comfortable using. No announcements. No warnings. Just silence. Exactly 1 month later, my phone exploded. Missed call after missed call. Voicemails stacking on top of each other. My mother crying. My sister panicking. My father furious, then desperate. By midnight, there were 85 missed calls. Messages like, "Rose, call us now. There's been a mistake. We need to talk. You've gone too far." I listened to every voicemail. Calmly. Quietly. With my children asleep beside me. Healthy, warm, safe. Then I turned my phone face down. For the first time in my life, they were late. And I wasn't rushing to explain. By morning, the missed calls had reached 112. I didn't check them right away. I made breakfast. Packed school lunches. Braided my daughter's hair. Helped my son with his shoes. Normal things. Because nothing scares people like realizing the person they humiliated is no longer emotionally available. At 9:14 a.m., my phone rang again. This time, I answered. "Rose!" My mother cried before I could even say hello. Thank God. I was so worried. "Why haven't you been answering?" Worried. The word almost made me laugh. "I've been busy," I said calmly. There was a pause. Then my father's voice cut in, sharp and irritated. "Busy doing what? Do you know what you've done?" I leaned against the kitchen counter. "No," I said. "What have I done?" "You know exactly what," he snapped. "Our accounts, things aren't working. Payments are failing. Cards are declining." My mother jumped back in quickly, sweet and trembling. "There must be a mistake, Rose. You probably clicked something by accident. You're good with these things. Can you just fix it?" There it was. The first stage. Pretend it's an accident. I stayed silent long enough for the discomfort to stretch. "I didn't click anything by accident," I said. Another pause. This one heavier. My sister's voice suddenly joined the call, loud and defensive. "So you're really doing this? Over a joke? Are you serious right now?" "A joke," I repeated. "Yes," she said. "Dad was just teaching you a lesson. You're too sensitive as always." Teaching me a lesson. I closed my eyes. I could still feel the wine dripping down my face. "I didn't say anything that night," I said quietly. "Not one word." "Well, maybe you should have," my father snapped. "Instead of pulling this childish stunt." There it was. Stage 2. Blame the victim. I finally spoke the truth they hadn't expected. My kids were in the hospital that day. Silence. Complete silence. I continued before they could interrupt. Both of them. High fevers. One was struggling to breathe. I rushed them there straight from work. That's why I was late. My mother inhaled sharply. Oh, she said softly. Well, you should have told us. I laughed then. A short, humorless laugh. I didn't get a chance, I said. Your husband threw wine in my face. My sister scoffed. Okay, but that doesn't explain why you'd hurt the whole family financially. There it was. Stage 3, minimize the abuse, exaggerate the consequences. I straightened. I didn't hurt anyone, I said. I stopped helping. My father's tone shifted. Dangerous, controlled. You wouldn't be where you are without us, Rose. Ah, the favorite line. I waited. You forget who paid for your education, he continued. Who supported you after your divorce? Who made sure you and those kids didn't end up struggling? I felt something settle in my chest. Calm. Clarity. You didn't support me, I said. You controlled me. My mother gasped. How can you say that? Because support doesn't come with humiliation, I replied. And it doesn't come with conditions. My sister laughed again, sharper this time. Listen to her. She thinks she's independent now. I am, I said. That's when the call exploded. My father started shouting. You think you're better than us now? After everything we've done. My sister jumped in. You're selfish. You always were. My mother cried loudly, theatrically. We were joking. Families joke. You're tearing us apart over nothing. Stage 4. Emotional manipulation. I let them talk. I let the chaos burn itself out. Then I spoke. I didn't cancel anything out of anger, I said. I cancelled it because I'm done paying for people who don't respect me. That hit them harder than any insult. You owe us, my father roared. I smiled. No, I said. I don't. They tried a different tactic. My mother softened her voice. Rose, sweetheart. You know your father didn't mean it. He was embarrassed. You came late. People were watching. I imagined her hand on my arm, the same hand that never defended me. So my punishment was public humiliation? I asked. Well, she hesitated. That's not how I'd put it. I would, I said. My sister interrupted again. So what now? You're just cutting us off. No, I said. I already did. Another silence. This one wasn't confusion. It was fear. You can't do this, my father said quietly. I already have. You're being vindictive. I'm being consistent. My mother's voice cracked. What do you want us to do? There it was. Stage 5. Negotiation. I thought for a moment. I want you to understand something, I said. I didn't plan revenge. I planned freedom. They didn't like that answer. So that's it. My sister snapped. You think you've won? I looked at my children playing on the floor. Laughing. Alive. Healthy. I'm not competing with you, I said. That's the difference. The call ended badly. My father hung up on me. My mother sent long messages apologizing and blaming everyone but herself. My sister sent one final text. Don't come crying when you need us again. I deleted it. Because I finally understood something they never would. People who humiliate you don't panic when you cry. They panic when you leave quietly. Over the next few days, the stories changed. They told relatives I was unstable, ungrateful, manipulative. But something unexpected happened. People started asking questions. Why had I been late that night? Why had my kids missed school? Why had my parents suddenly lost access to things they'd never handled themselves? Truth doesn't need defending. It spreads on its own. By the end of the week, my mother showed up at my door. Unannounced. Eyes red. Face pale. She looked smaller than I remembered. "I just want to talk," she said. I stood in the doorway. "I'm listening," I replied. And for the first time in my life, she had nothing left to say. My mother didn't cry right away. That was how I knew this visit wasn't about apology. She stood on my porch like someone waiting to be let back into a house she no longer owned. "I didn't come to fight," she said carefully. "I just want us to be a family again." The word again hung between us. "Families don't humiliate each other," I said. She looked past me, into my home. Into the life she'd never protected. "I raised you better than this," she whispered. I smiled. "You raised me to survive you." That's when her composure cracked. Inside, she paced. Touching nothing. Looking at everything. The kids' drawings on the fridge. The medicine bottles still lined neatly on the counter. The hospital discharge papers folded beside the sink. She noticed them. Finally. "You never told us they were that sick," she said. "You never asked," I replied. Her mouth opened. Closed. That was the moment realization started. Not guilt. Fear of being exposed. 3 days later, my father called again. Not yelling this time. Quiet. Controlled. The kind of voice men use when they're losing leverage. "You've made your point," he said. "This has gone far enough." "No," I answered. "It went far enough when you threw wine in my face. You embarrassed me in my own home," he snapped. I laughed softly. "No," I said. "You embarrassed yourself." He didn't respond. Because deep down, he knew it was true. Then came the family meeting. An emergency gathering. Relatives. Aunties. Uncles. The same people who had watched in silence that night. I wasn't invited. But my name was on everyone's lips. They asked questions. They compared stories. They remembered my calm. My silence. My dignity. And something dangerous happened. The narrative slipped out of my parents' control. My sister called last. Her voice was brittle. "You're enjoying this," she accused. "No," I said. "I'm done with you." She went quiet. "You think you're better than us now?" "No," I said. "I think I'm done begging to be treated like a human being." She hung up. Blocked me. Good. A week later, my father showed up. Not to apologize. To threaten. "You're isolating yourself," he said. "No family. No support." I looked him in the eye. "I've never had your support," I said. "Only your control." His jaw tightened. "You'll regret this." I nodded. I already regretted staying. That was the moment he realized something terrifying. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger is negotiable. Detachment is not. The final message came from my mother. Long. Carefully written. Apologies mixed with excuses. Love tangled with denial. She ended it with, "I hope one day you'll forgive us." I typed back one sentence. Forgiveness doesn't require access. Then I muted the thread. Life didn't magically become easy. But it became quiet. Peaceful. Predictable. My children slept better. So did I. No sudden calls. No emotional ambushes. No dinners that felt like trials. Just space. And space changes everything. Sometimes I think about that night. The wine. The laughter. The silence I chose. They thought it was weakness. It wasn't. It was the moment I stopped performing for people who never applauded me anyway. Moral lessons. Moral lesson. Public humiliation is not love, and jokes that wound are not lessons, they are warnings. Silence in the face of disrespect does not mean agreement. Sometimes it means someone is finally choosing clarity over chaos. Families that confuse control with care often feel entitled to mock, belittle, and demand explanations. Yet they are shocked when access and support are quietly withdrawn. True strength is not found in arguing, defending yourself, or proving your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you, but in setting firm boundaries and protecting your peace. Walking away from disrespect is not bitterness or revenge. It is self-respect, and it teaches others that kindness is not optional, even within family.